It's terrible. And when you go through the grief of losing a relationship, because it's a grief, it's a death.
I wasn't grieving the relationship. I was grieving the time I lost.
Well, the time you lost. Whoops. But
think about it.
You sunk down into that depression.
Yeah.
Right? And now you're on the upside.
Think about it. I don't miss him, and I don't miss the relationship. I don't miss anything. But let's think about it. I was manipulated to love him.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a I fell in love with you. This was a manipulation. I was used, and my brain was his toy.
Absolutely.
So looking back at it, no, I did not love him, and I do not care for him, and I do not miss him.
Well, and that's where it's so interesting, because forgive sounds good. Forget,
never.
not ready yet, right? So the forgiveness isn't about him. The forgiveness is about you.
See, now I understand the concept. I do, and I see it all over the place. You need to forgive
you.
Okay, great, but I don't forgive them.
No, you don't have to forgive them.
Okay, because a lot of people say that you have to forgive them, because I don't forgive my father, my stepdad. Why would I?
You can forgive the low vibration soul.
I forgive myself for believing I deserved it.
Mm-hmm.
I forgive myself for not saying anything sooner. I forgive myself for not listening to my gut.
There you go.
But I don't forgive him for what he did.
No. And as you continue to work through the layers and layers and layers of your own healing,
which is forever.
Well, it's a while. I mean, here I am 10 years later. Right? Like this didn't happen overnight.
No.
Now, as I'm continuing to work through my memoir, and I just finished the chapter on grief. Well, one of the chapters on grief, one of the chapters on forgiveness. I'm starting to get memories of the good times with my children where their father was there. And every once in a while I'm like, oh my gosh, what was that? And then I'm like, okay. That moment.
Yeah.
That moment. Because at the time we did have a loving relationship with another person. So, so it's like that super thin Weight Watchers version of an Oreo cookie. If there is such a thing, I don't know.
Like a wafer.
Well, like if you wipe all the icing off, and there's that white that's stuck in the cookie.
That thin.
Like,
but there was some good.
Right?
No matter how small, you recognize that.
Yeah, I'm beginning to get more memories back, and I lost so many years of memory because of the PTSD.
1000%.
So
there was a time in my life where I was asked, did it really happen? Mm-hmm. And so I started to question myself. Well, did it really happen? Because I'm trying to pull memories. Yeah. And I only had one memory that repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated. But it wasn't the memories, it was the feeling.
Right.
It was every time I was around my stepdad, I was on tippy toes. My heart stopped. I could see his eyes burning through me like Superman, like lasers. The way that he used to make me hold his hand when I was in the car with him. Those feelings. I don't have the memories of the hundreds and hundreds of times that he was there, but I have the feeling that so deep down, I know.
Well, it's why there's certain toys that we look at if we were abused as a child or molested as a child. And you're like, yeah, no, I don't want to play with Barbie.
So okay. So for this, I get that. So there's, for me, it's words. Or So my stepdad used to always run up behind me, and he'd be standing here and he'd tap me on the shoulder here. If anybody does that to me, I automatically look to the opposite because he did it to me so much. But so someone who I don't know could think it's a joke, and right away I'm triggered. Or when someone goes like this and then you look down and they get your nose, he used to do that to me too. There's certain nicknames of mine that I can't handle. There's just certain things, grabbing my knee. And I have to be very open to, like, especially when I'm in a new relationship with a guy, I have to say, like, it's not you, but please don't do this. I will explain later. Because that's gonna scare a guy. Weekend, don't do that. Why? Because I was molested. My dad did that. Awkward, right? But like, please just don't. And then as we go on, I can say, like,
as it evolves, as it evolves,
those little things start to trigger me, and it doesn't. It triggers me, and it just, like, it's this icky feeling that you can't explain.
It's so difficult, and as those feelings and emotions come up and you're healing from them, I mean, I used to not be able to wear anything tight around my throat.
Oh, I still can't.
Like a scarf.
Even if it's hot and sweaty and my necklace goes up, I've ruined my like gold necklaces before sleeping and ripping it off.
Yeah, it took time. It took a long time for me. Now I will wear a shawl gently over my shoulders.
Yeah, no turtlenecks for me.
No, you'll never see me in a turtleneck.
No.
Well,
I mean, they're not a great fashion statement. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But even if we're like in like minus 50 and we needed a turtleneck, you still won't catch me wearing one because I feel like I'm being strangled.
And that's whereby a lot of people don't understand rape trauma syndrome and the mask right now.
Yep.
Because I advocate for women who cannot wear a mask.
So
trauma syndrome,
yeah. I have sleep apnea and I have a sleep mask. And it's so bad. My heart actually hurts some mornings because I don't wear it. I'm on average, I stop breathing every 2 minutes. There's severe and then there's me. And I can't wear that mask when I'm alone.
Okay.
When I have a friend come spend the night, or I have one of my kids in my bed, or obviously if I'm in a relationship with someone that I trust,
right, yeah,
I can wear that. I can sleep through the night with that mask. But when I'm by myself, that feeling when you're sleeping and you think you're falling and you jerk yourself awake. I get that feeling, but I'm falling into like a childhood memory.
I literally took my bed, king size bed, and moved it against my window.
Yeah. So
that I could sleep against something, and I put pillows and stuff like that, so it felt like a human being. Totally did not feng shui my house, but it worked.
I do have them looking at my bed right now. I've got like 9 pillows on there. I could totally.
I had to do things like that because my son still lived with me after I went through my separation and my divorce. I had dogs. Dogs were good too. A good dog is a good, and I mean, I had a big dog, right? So it was like having a person in
dogs are such commitments though.
I know. Mine were rescue dogs that my children brought home, and then they're like, "Hey, can we leave your dog? Can we leave the dog here for a couple weeks, years,
till they die?"
I rehomed them, and I found them wonderful homes. I interviewed people and the whole 9 yards, right? But it's a challenge when you're working through all of that, and it's yours is yours, mine is mine. There are similarities, so that's why we can communicate about them. But that whole we're all in the same boat. No, we're not. No one's in my boat. It's my boat. It's got
every boat moves at a different speed.
My baggage.
There's no room on my boat for anybody else. I have a lot of baggage.
and that gets heavy.
I'm on a cruise ship.
Well, and it gets heavy, and when you let it go. And I learned that when I learned how to dive.
Yep.
because I had to learn how to go underwater, right? Like this is after M passed and she passed in the water.
Yeah.
So me learning how to scuba dive was a huge part of my recovery.
Yeah.
Huge. And I'm
To
like,
be one with the water.
oh
which
yeah.
is took your daughter away.
And on my first dive, I'm like, I think I'm gonna die, right? But no, I threw up. And it comes shooting out the sides.
No.
Yeah, it comes shooting out the sides, and then you breathe in, and then the fish come, and then you think shark. Well, that was me anyways, right? So I do, right? I know I
bring on Jaws.
right, but oh my gosh. And I mean, I burned through so much oxygen. When the dive master came through, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like,
probably had no idea.
so he looks at the tank to see how much oxygen I've got. And he's like, and I made it through that dive. I made it through my 4 dives. And on my 5th dive, I had improved. I mean, I did everything wrong, everything. On my 2nd dive, I hit the wrong button. So instead of getting air out of my BCD, my backpack, it's like, so they had to grab me by my feet and pull me down. Like, I mean, everything went wrong. And at the end of my 4th dive, my friend had booked a cave dive for us. Okay. And so he says, like, I've dove a lot and my friend's a very good diver. Well, who's your friend? So I come in and they're like, that's your friend. Yeah. So, and I'm in Mexico, right? So they're Spanish, they're French, they're speaking all sorts of languages. And the head dive master comes out and goes, she can go in the cave. Because I had overcome such adversity. They're like, she got this. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I mean, diving for me it's where my soul, I'm a mermaid, man. I'm a mermaid.
Nice. I've never done that. I would like to jump out of a plane.
I want to do that.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, how doesn't that sound awesome? Just jump out of a
Grand Canyon. Over the Grand Canyon.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Right?
Yes, that would be quite cool.
Right? Like I want to do, when I think of my joy list, I don't have a bucket list. I don't like that name. Kick the bucket. I've got I have a joy list.
I like that.
What's a better sound? Like bucket.
It is.
Kick the bucket list? No. Joy
well,
list.
Okay, and you know what? Mindset. Bucket list is things you want to do before you die. And so when you think about that, you're going to procrastinate because you don't think you're going to die anytime soon. Now, if you have a joy list, these are things that bring you joy. So you actually might be like, oh, I'm kind of in the dumps, or I have time, or let's do something from the joy list to bring us joy. Yeah. I actually think that would be a way better, especially for procrastinators.
Well, absolutely, right? Because we don't make time for those things because it's going to happen one day. It's going to happen one day.
We think we have time.
Yeah. And
sadly, we don't.
And we do, but we don't. Because
we don't know how much time we have.
No, we don't. We don't know.
That's what it is. We have time.
Yeah.
But we don't know how much time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Like that's why this year is the year to write the first memoir. I mean, I'm by June.
I keep talking about it.
By June, I will have it written. I've got a writing coach. I've got an editor. I've got a publisher, and I've got publishers for the 2nd and 3rd because I've gotten people that have been like, "You're going to write a book," and I'm like, "I have a publisher, and they're already starting to negotiate with me for the 2nd book."
Yeah.
Interesting. I love to write. Writing is one of my truest passions.
I do too, but I don't have that